Welcome back, everyone. So we are again in oral medicine, and I'll be starting with a new topic today. Now, today's topic is on bleeding disorders. You know, the disorders of RBC, WBCs, platelets, your bleeding disorders, clotting disorders. So we'll be covering a very big topic and a very important topic. It's very important in terms of your theory exam as well as if you're preparing for your NEET, whether it is for your UG NEET or your the PG part. So this topic is very important. I've tried to concise the topic. सारे important points मैंने लेने की कोशिश की है. So let's begin with it now. Now, when we are discussing bleeding disorders or clotting disorders, RBC disorders, WBC disorders, we first need to have a very brief introduction of blood. Blood we all know. So blood is the fluid component of the body that flows through the vascular channels. Now this we all know. It's the fluid of life. Yes, it is the fluid of life. Why? Because it carries oxygen from the lungs to the body tissues and carbon dioxide from the tissues to the lungs for the purification, right? So that is the reason why it is the fluid of life. It is carrying oxygen. The oxygenated blood is there, from the lungs to different parts and the different body tissues, and the released carbon dioxide and other toxins from the tissues to the lungs. It is also the fluid of growth. Why? Because it carries the nourishment, from the digestion. जो आपके digestive products रहते हैं, जो breakdown products रहते हैं digestion के, वो blood में जाते हैं. And then there are hormones, from the various glands which are secreted. So this is actually the blood that is, supplying everything throughout your body to your tissues and cells, whether it's oxygen, whether it's nutrition, it's hormones or whatever. It's the blood which is supplying. So that is the reason why we call it as the fluid of life. Also the fluid of health. Yes, it is a fluid of health. It transports all the disease-fighting substances to the tissues and the waste to the kidneys. So that is the reason why we consider blood as the fluid of life. Now, if we see blood, what is basically the composition of blood? So blood is plasma, and then there is a cellular component. The cellular component is, again, we all know it's RBCs, it's your, WBCs and all this. But RBC, जो सबसे important component माना जाता है, the more than 90% of RBC, it consists of hemoglobin. The normal count of RBC, अगर हम एक normal individual की बात करें, so it's somewhere between 4.5 to 5.5 million cells per cubic mm. And the lifespan of RBCs is 120 days. Now, why I'm taking these, these 2 points over here? Because these are the kind of questions can be, very commonly asked. Firstly, the normal RBC count. So you need to know that. So this you need to remember, the normal count and the lifespan of RBC. So the lifespan and the normal RBC count, you have to remember this. So this and this. These are 2 important points over here we have to remember. Now let's come to the components of blood. So as I said, the blood has 2 components. One is plasma and one is the cellular component. Now plasma जो रहता है वो करीब 55% of total blood volume बनाता है. तो जो बचा 45% है, that is made by your cellular components. The cellular components, as I said, are your RBCs, your WBCs and your platelets. Now let's come to plasma. Now what is plasma? Right? What is the composition of plasma? Again, this is a very important question. So plasma is mostly water. It's 90% of it is water. So 90% of plasma is water. Then about 7%, you have your soluble blood proteins. Then the rest is hormones, electrolytes and nutrients, which make up to about 2 to 3%. So 91% is your water. We are talking about plasma right now. Plasma क्या है? It is 55% of blood. Blood में क्या है? Plasma है और cellular component है. Plasma कितना component है? 55%. The remaining 45 is your blood component. Now plasma में क्या है? So plasma itself is 91% water. Around 7% you have your soluble proteins, and the remaining 2% is your hormones, electrolytes and the other nutrients. Now let's go to the cellular components. So cellular components are your WBC, platelets and red blood cells. तो अब जो हम करने वाले हैं, the topic about the bleeding disorders, the WBC disorders, the RBC disorders, वो actually ये cellular components पे based है.